So my name is Roni LaCuesta. I am the executive director of Compass Ministries. It's an open source missionary care organization, otherwise known also as member care for those who are in our field. What do? We service missionary families at no cost through counseling, pastoral counseling, debriefing, mentoring and coaching, and also pre-field and post-field training. We help missionary families and adult missionary kids transition back here to the United States with all the things that are involved in transition. It can be very taxing with their mental health and emotional health. So we help them come back to the United States. We help them under furlough. We help them think of their future and plan for their future. So one of the things that we do as a missionary care organization is we look at what it takes to transition, and we look at the different challenges that they may encounter, and we provide services that can mitigate those circumstances. As an example, for missionary families, when they're coming back from a 2-year term or 4-year or 5-year term, they've been out of the country for so long, and a lot has happened. So when they come back, most missionaries that I know of, when we give them a test on the stress test, at a 200 level for any normal American person, right? At 200, when they hit 200 points on the test, you're ready for an emergency room. And in the span of 1 year, your body and your mental and emotional health is liable to break down, or you will definitely have a nervous breakdown. For a missionary preparing to leave for the field, they're already at 300. Coming back, they could be at 600, 800 to 1200. As a former missionary myself, when I came back, I scored a test of 1200 in my stress test. So that's pretty alarming. And that's why you see many missionary families, when they come back, they crash, because their bodies are so stressed out because of the cross-cultural challenges that they faced. Another challenge is the missionary kids. They're different from their missionary parents, because missionary kids, a lot of them were probably born overseas, or if they were born here, they left this country at an early age, and they pretty much grew up overseas. But at the age of 18, they'll have to come back. Now, during the time that they're in the field, right, when they have furloughs, they would come back for 6 months to a year. So they change schools, they change routines, and a lot of times they're not culturally aware of their home country. They look American. They could be white, blue eyes, or black, or even Asian looking or Latino looking, but they're Americans, and they speak English perfectly, and they have that American culture from their home life, right? But when they come to the United States or come back to the United States, it's really not coming back for them. They're coming to a foreign country, right? Just because they speak English and they know their parents' culture somewhat doesn't make them culturally savvy. And actually, they have a struggle. They struggle, especially if they're coming into a public school and then they leave midterm, right? Or they come in the middle of the semester. So that's a struggle for them. So one of the things that Compass provide is it's the environment to be able to transition well. We have 2 places where we can drop, 3 places actually, where we can drop missionary kids in to help equip them in this cultural transition. Number 1 is we provide a re-entry seminar in the summer for middle schoolers and high schoolers. And two, we have a Compass house, a house that adult missionary kids going into college or to the workforce coming from overseas that they can land in and transition. So they will be provided a pastoral counselor, a life skill mentor coach, and a vocational mentor coach. Or the third is a home group called Plus Compass, right? And that home group kind of it's kind of the community that surrounds all these programs that we provide. And we're located here in Tampa, Florida, and our mission is to make Tampa Bay a welcoming place for missionaries and their families. Now, what do we do in the Plus Compass home group, in the Compass House, and in the reentry, right? We basically base our programs in the life model. And what is the life model? We didn't write that. We didn't invent it. The life model was created by Jim Wilder and a bunch of psychologists and mental health counselors located in California. They have, through their experience of 30 years, 40 years experience in counseling and dealing with traumas, they've created a book called The Life Model. So we extrapolated a lot of the ideas from that, and it's created our community environment that can be a safe place for missionaries and their families to land in. So what are the 5 components of the life model? Number 1, sense of belonging. Number 2, the dynamic of receive and give. Number 3, the recovery from traumas or inner healing. 4, maturity. And 5, living out of the heart of Jesus. So we're creating this 3-part series right now. This is the first one, okay? What we want to do is talk to you about transition and how to be involved or come into a community, right? To be healthy, become healthy if you're not, okay? And to thrive, right? So the first step is learning what the 5 components of wholeness that you need in your life. Now, wholeness is a tricky thing, right? Because a lot of times we think wholeness, okay, is a specific characteristics or self-help things that we have to do to become whole. The tricky thing about it is that wholeness looks different for every person. It's unique to each individual. And that's why a lot of times self-help doesn't work. Why? Because, for example, right? If I'm going to go on a diet, you see a lot of self-help diet books out there, right? One kind of diet might work for me, and it's awesome, and it's great, and it works for me. Then I go to you, hey, this diet worked for me, so it should work for you, right? But then that person that you told them to, after a month, comes back to you and say, hey, I tried that diet, it doesn't work. Wait a minute, why does it work for me and doesn't work for you? Well, because there's several factors, right? My physiology might be different from yours, right? My capacity or my schedule or my time maybe doesn't work for yours. My vocation and what I do maybe doesn't work for you. And my personality, sometimes some things work for certain personalities, something doesn't work for other personalities. Well, it's the same thing with wholeness. Wholeness is unique to every individual. So we're not prescribing a self-help book here, but what the psychologists and mental health counselors and pastors have discovered is that there are measurable components that needs to be in place in any individual's life in order to attain wholeness, right? It is not what's going to make you whole, But these 5 components together can bring about the unique wholeness that you can live in and thrive in, right? So again, what are those 5 components? Sense of belonging, receive and give, healing from traumas or inner healing, maturity, and living out of the heart of Jesus. So in the next 2 episodes that we're going to do, we're going to dive into that 5 components.